Hey everybody! So in this course today, we are going to go over the art of mastering the sales walk, okay? This is a super important tool to have in your back pocket. Now, when you have an online lead or a web lead that originates, we want to convert those people from online or over the phone lead to an in-person lead. That is going to substantially increase your chances of making that sale if you can get them there on the property. This is especially true since we have Class A facilities all around. All of our locations are Class A. What that means is we are top of the line in customer service, security, convenience, cleanliness. We have it all. So if we can show them that and bring them in person, you're going to make that sale, okay? As long as you're doing that sales walk correctly. Now, what is the sales walk? So that is essentially the property tour. That's where you're going to show them our features, as well as show them the units that you've determined are the appropriate size for them. That way they can get a feel for that space, okay? Now, a couple things before we get started. You really do not want to kind of be very casual in your invites to the property. So I hear a lot of the times people may say, hey, if you're not busy this week, just stop on by anytime during business hours and we can go ahead and show you those units we talked about. That's great. You're getting somewhere as far as the invitation goes. But a better way to do that is to classify it as an appointment, okay? Doing it the first way I mentioned, it kind of leaves a lot of open air for the customer to kind of, I can come, I can not come, whatever it may be. It's just not very set in stone. So when we classify it as an appointment, there's a couple things that happen. Number one, it's going to help you out as a manager because now you have a time frame for this person to arrive. So you know not to be at the bank, you know not to schedule it at the same time as you have U-Hauls coming in, whatever it may be, you can work your day around that. Number two, it's going to commit the customer to actually showing up. So when you do classify it as an appointment, they're more likely to treat it as such. So they'll think, oh, I told this person I was going to be there at 3 p.m. to look at that unit today. I really need to do that. Or I need to call them and reschedule that time frame. Okay, so that's another reason it's important. Sometimes you get somebody that walks right in off the street and then you get to bypass everything and go right into the property walk, and that's great too. So regardless, once that person is coming through your door, the first thing you need to do is show them that they have your full attention, okay? So we can do that by standing, smiling, and waving. Invite them over to the desk, show them that they are important to you as a customer. Once you get them over to the desk, introduce yourself and get their name, okay? You want to establish a relationship with the customer at this point. You want to make sure you have something to call them moving forward, okay? If you don't have a name, there's not a lot of, it makes conversation difficult. So once you do that, you've introduced yourself and everything, this is where we're going to start the investigative process of determining the size and type that we're going to show them on our property walk. Maybe you've already done this on the phone prior to their arrival, and that's great because then you can kind of jump right into it. If they're walking in off the street, this is the first time you're seeing them, this is a super important step. So the first question I like to ask during this, kind of the overarching question that I'm going to pull all this information from, is would you mind telling me a little bit about what you're looking at storing? That way I can gauge the right size and get the right information for you, okay? You're going to gain a lot of information from this question. So they may say, I have a 2-bedroom apartment I'm storing with a leather couch, some wood furniture, things like that. Well, immediately, just based on that, in my brain, I'm saying, okay, this person's going to need a 10 by 10, maybe a 10 by 15 if they have more items. They said leather couch and wood furniture, so that's going to set off an alarm in my brain saying they're going to need temperature controlled most likely. So you can kind of start to deduce what they're going to need based on how they answer that first question. The second thing I like to ask them is how long are they storing? So this is going to establish a couple things. Number one is going to be Number one is going to be whether or not they need the specials that you have. So what type of special to give them. So for example, if you have a first month dollar special that you're running and they say I'm only staying for 1 month, maybe leave that special on the back burner. Okay, so maybe don't bring up that special right now. Try to get them paying a little more than $1, for their stay there. So keep that in mind when you're talking about how long they're storing. Another thing, it's going to help you further confirm whether or not they need temperature control or non-temperature controlled. So let's say they tell you, well, I'm going to be storing for 6 months to a year. Circle back to what they told you and say, okay, great. I heard you say leather couch and wood furniture. Those types of items can sustain some damage, some warping, and kind of that fluctuation of temperature from night to day, especially through the seasons. So if you're storing that length of time and those are the types of items that you're storing, I would certainly recommend a temperature controlled option for you. That way those items don't sustain any damage during that storage process, okay? So you can kind of guide them using that information as well. Can they stack the items? This may seem like a weird question, but sometimes they can't. I've had a customer come in who needed a 5x5 storage unit, or who said he thought he needed a 5x5 storage unit. He said, I have 5 totes. This is the length. And I'm thinking, yes, I think probably a 5x5 is good. Well, he did end up telling me that those totes could actually not be stacked. They had to sit on the ground by themselves next to each other. So that changed from the 5x5 to a 5x10 because he couldn't stack the items. Or if a person has many boxes of fragile keepsakes, things like that, they may not want to stack them. So figure that out. That's also going to help you determine the size and the type of unit. Do they need a drive up? If drive up is an option that you have, maybe they're storing a vehicle or something. So keep that in mind as well. You don't want to offer them an indoor unit if they need that drive up access. So once you're kind of going through this investigative process, you're determining what they need. Always try to write down at least 2 sizes, 2 units to show them. That way they can kind of compare and contrast the difference between the two. Hop on SiteLink, check what you have available and write that down. So that's what I would be doing at this point. I'd be writing myself a note with these units of the sizes that I want to show them, the unit numbers. That way I know where to go. Try to keep them in close proximity. That way, they can compare them quickly and kind of see them close to each other. Give them quote material, okay? Don't forget to do this. So in addition to writing the units and sizes down for yourself, grab one of your rack cards, write the sizes and the types that you discussed, any specials that you offered, write that down as well. This is going to allow the customer to reference that while they're on the property with you, and it's also going to give them that material to take home so they can take a look at it, recall what they saw, have the prices right there along with some helpful features and things that are listed on your rack card. Just make sure they actually take it. In this video, this is my husband here, and he set it down and left it, and I had to remind him, hey, you're the customer, you need to be taking that. Next, where I like to start when I go on the property walk is our gate. Okay, so our smart gates are actually really cool. We have them at all of our property. So I just explained to the customer, you're going to get your own access code and you're going to enter that in here. That's how you're going to go on and off the property for our access hours. So make sure you're giving them those hours, okay? Steamboat, for example, here, I would say that's going to give you access that's going to get you on the property for that 24/7 access. Your property may be a 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. access hours property. Make sure you're letting them know that. That way they are aware of those hours, so they're not trying to come after hours or anything like that. Point out your fences. So not only are we gated, but we are also fully fenced. That may not be something that the customer is noticing, so go ahead and draw their attention over to that. Okay, it's a nice security feature. We have 6-foot fences. Talk about your drainage. This might not seem like an obvious one, and the customer probably isn't even thinking about it either, but pointing this out is going to kind of bring to the forefront of, oh wow, I never thought about how that was important. I'm glad you guys have that, So all of our properties, you'll notice if you go out and take a look, the drives are sloped to a V. This means water, debris, things like that, they're going to come away from the units and go to the middle and drain off the property. Not all storage units have this, to your surprise maybe. So point things like that out. Your security cameras, go ahead and point those out. You know, we have 24/7 security surveillance. You'll see that there. They go down all of our aisleways and hallways. In addition to the drainage, the V, talk about the rain lip. Sometimes customers look at this and think that this is a negative thing. So they'll say, you know, why is it like that? It's harder to move a dolly over it, whatever it may be. So spin this in a positive light. You know, here we have this 1-inch rain lip at all of our storage. So if there is water and excessive water, it's not going to come into your unit. Okay. It's going to stop right there. So point those things out as well. It may not be obvious to the customer why it's there, especially if this is their first time storing. If you're going inside, when you open that door, show them how the lights come on. You know, we have motion lights. So whenever you come in here during access hours, these lights are going to kick on. And right at the door is a moving cart. You know, this is free to use. It's going to be here for you whenever you need it. So feel free to load your items up on that. Talk about your individual door alarms if you have them. Not all of our properties do, but if yours does, this is a good thing to point out because customers don't typically notice that, or they'll ask, hey, what's that box on the door? You know, so go ahead and show it to them. Say, these are individual door alarms. If your unit door opens, but your gate code's not been punched in at the gate, for example, it's going to trigger an alarm. Let us know. We need to get in touch with you and make sure it's you in there. Although with the security levels we have, it's really not a problem we anticipate for you. So point those out as well, because it is a cool feature. A lot of people are like, wow, I didn't even know facilities had that at all. Okay. When you are kind of having some leisure time, maybe there's an extended walk that you're going through, engage in some small talk, establish some trust in a relationship with this customer, ask them about their day, ask them where they're coming from. Why are they here? Are they just moving here? You know, have you tried this restaurant in town? It's great. Just establish some level of trust and kindness. It is very difficult to leave your items away from you, especially if they're, you know, the items you've had for your whole life, for example. Make sure you are coming off as a trustworthy person, which you are if you work for Stop and Go Storage. You're already a great person. But just make sure that you have that going with the customer because it is a difficult thing. And a lot of our customers are coming from a stressful time when they need storage. You know, it may be a happy stress. They may have just bought a home or are getting married, or it may be a negative stress where they've had a death in the family, or they've lost their home or are going through a divorce. They are under some level of stress typically when they're coming in. So try to ease their mind a little bit about, at least, you know, we can't help them with everything, but we can at least help them in this area. This is where we can really come through for the customer, take some weight off of their shoulders and let them know, listen, we've got you. Your stuff is going to be safe here. Your items are going to be safe. We will take care of it. I am in these hallways every day. You know, I'm checking these every day. We have all the security. I've got you. Okay. When you actually get into showing your units, if you have 2 of those available, then go ahead, show them how the latch works when you're showing them. This isn't always an obvious thing for customers. It can be a little bit tricky, or they might not know exactly how to unlock it. So show them that. Once you open the unit, point out the cleanliness of it. Talk about how high it is. Okay, so we have a lot of height in our units. If you can use this upward volume, you can get a lot in here. If they ask, mention that we pre-treat and post-treat every unit for pest control. Some of your properties might even have a monthly service that comes. It's not a shameful thing that we have pest control, okay? It's actually great. It means we're on top of things, and it's the reason that we do not have pest issues at our locations. So not a shameful thing to talk about. It's just another selling point, okay? Once you have them back in the office, get the phone number, okay? I see so many times where people get this person who's walking in off the street, especially if they haven't originated on the phone or online. They're walking in off the street. You spend all this time on this great property walk that you've just done, and then you let them walk out of the door without any contact information on our end, okay? Don't do that. Get their phone number, write it down on a little notepad. We'll put all this into the computer once they leave. Just don't forget to do that, okay? Get their email if you can. Just tell them, I'm just going to send you a summary of this information, or, you can say, I'm going to get this quote information over to you. Whatever it may be, just try to get that, okay? Don't forget to establish a sense of urgency either. That's another thing I see. It is a lot easier when you have this disconnect over the phone to kind of say, this is our last unit, whatever it may be. Let's go ahead and get you reserved. It can be easier to do that when you're not face-to-face, but don't forget to do that when you have them in person. So you might say, hey, that unit I showed you, that closest one to the door, that's the last one I have in that location. The other ones are pretty far. So if this is the one that you want, you're ready to kind of lock this in, we've got your move-in date, let's reserve this for you so it's not picked up in the meantime, because I really want you to have that easiest access there, okay? So don't forget your urgency. Get that reservation. If they're not going to move in right then, get that reservation. Take your reservation fee. If you've done your property walk correctly, you've established this trust, you've shown them everything we have to offer, you're good. You can get that sale, so they're going to have no problem reserving that with you. Don't forget to point out our other convenience factors when they're in the office, okay? We have a lot to offer at Stop and Go Storage at all of our locations, so direct their attention to that. They could have their mind focused on all kinds of other things and forget that, hey, we have all of this moving and packing supplies right here for you. If you need it for your move, I've gotcha. I'll load it up here for you and have it waiting for you to pick up even, okay? So point everything out that you have to offer, including locks for the storage units. Show them we've even got U-Hauls. So if you need a U-Haul, I could reserve one right now for you, and we can get you all set up for that as well. All of those are important things. You want to recap your features that you have established. So if we can move forward, which my presentation here, of course, is pausing right at the end of our video. Let's try to fix it real quick. Okay, so moving forward, just kind of recap some information. Keep in mind the types of features that you have, because this is going to be helpful to you, moving forward and in building confidence in your sales. So make a list of yourself of the top features that you want to talk about with customers and keep that on hand for your walks and for your leads even. And remember, we are secure, convenient, and easy. Those are the things you really want to drive home on your sales walk. And you're going to have no problem locking that customer in if you do that properly. Okay? Well, happy selling. I hope this helped. And if you have any questions, let us know. Thanks.